I'm Whitney.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Deb.
We're three best friends who love nerdy things.
Well, some people think we're nerdy, but we think we're pretty awesome.
This is our nerdiest thing.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to our nerdiest thing. Today is our first read-along episode of Season 4. We are starting our discussion of the Crescent City series. Today, we are talking about Crescent City, Book 1, Houseof Earth and Blood, Chapters 1 through 37, which are Parts 1 and 2. Before we get into it, reminder, we are spoiler friendly. For these first few episodes, we will be spoiler friendly for Crescent City 1 and 2, House of Earth and Blood, and House of Sky and Breath. We will not be spoiling any of Book 3, House of Flame and Shadow, until we start talking about that book.
About House of Flame and Shadow.
Yeah. Hold fast.
That's a lot to put in there.
It is. Spoiler friendly. Read the books before you listen. We used reviews from a bookworm summary for this book 1 and 2. That website, Reviews from a Bookworm, she has, the most detailed summaries I've ever seen of a book. So if you are needing to refresh your memory, definitely go check those out if you are not able to commit to a total reread of these books, because they are kind of humongous and a really big commitment. So thank you so much, Reviews from a Bookworm, for those summaries, because they were super helpful for us.
Definitely.
Before we get into it, Deb, will you please share our nerdiest cocktail?
Yes, tonight's drink is called 7 Gems, 7 Territories, and 7 Asshole Gods. It's themed after, quote, "The power shall always belong to those who give their lives to the city," unquote, which is ironic as fuck considering the Asteri are total leeches. This drink pairs with communicating through the 7 gates, the 7 territories of hell, and wondering who the missing 7th Asteri is. And it may cause the reader to wonder what the fuck is happening with all this world building.
We're here to help, guys.
I read this right when it came out, and I remember finding a Sarah J Maas group, right? Because I was like, what's an Asteri and what's a veneer and what's all this? And I was like, can someone please give me like a rundown of what these characters are? And it was like, nope. No one even commented, and I was like, all right, none of us know.
Then.
Great.
Well, I'm going to help with that.
Context will be there at about 500 pages in, folks.
Right.
Oh, so sorry. This drink has a lot of alcohol in it, so be careful. The recipe will be on ournerdiestthing.com and on our Instagram, but it's got vodka, gin, white rum, tequila, triple sec, Coke. Like, it's got a lot of stuff in it. So
Coca-Cola.
Drink with care, not cocaine.
Yeah,
Coca-Cola.
let's just clarify.
Sorry, in the Midwest we call it, well, I guess the South calls it Coke because the Midwest calls it pop.
Pop, yeah.
Yeah. So that's our nerdiest cocktail. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Before we go any further, Mindy, will you please share our nerdiest vocabulary?
Of course I will. This week, I'm just going to throw out a little hodgepodge. There's not a whole lot, even though there was a lot. I just didn't want to overwhelm. So
it's like too much to choose from.
So I started out with a little reminder that Umbra Mortis, which is Hunt's name, means shadow of death in Latin, which totally tracks. But just to, just keep that in the back of your mind. And then
on the front of your pants.
And then later on in these chapters, they go through some history, right, with some of these I guess they were gods or characters or whatever back when there was the first war. They sounded very familiar to me, and so I wanted to look up and see what they're all set in Greek mythology. So I wanted to see what a few of these characters were actually in Greek mythology. And so Thea, who is a huge part of the history there because she's starborn, she is in Greek mythology the Greek goddess of sight.
Interesting.
So I thought that was kind of cool, especially when there's talks of oracles and all that stuff here.
Yeah.
And then Peleus, he's the prince that marries her daughter.
Yeah, he marries Thea's daughter, Helena. He's the first starborn prince.
So Peleus in Greek mythology is the one that, if you've heard the story, Jason and the Golden Fleece, he's the one that sent Jason.
That was my favorite
on his quest for the Golden Fleece.
I have never heard that. I ever either. I'm picturing a sweatshirt. What's a Golden Fleece?
It's like sheep's hair.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
I made a joke and cut you off.
So it wasn't your favorite book?
Those are famous bedtime story. I'm like, okay, you do you, boo.
That wouldn't be that far out of the norm for me.
It would not.
So anyway, that was kind of I don't know how that goes together, but that was an odd name. That was one I hadn't heard of before, so I thought that was kind of a weird connection. And then finally, Helena, who is Thea's daughter, also starborn, married to Peleus, I thought might be a reference to Helen of Troy. And she is basically, in most Greek mythology, the most beautiful woman, and she causes the Trojan War, and she causes all these problems. So I don't know. We'll see if any of that works into the story. And then one last thing I thought was very, very cool. So at one point towards the end of these chapters, they find a vase, and it's got a picture of the Crystallos, which is the being that they've been kind of looking for and fighting off. And the actual vase is from a place called Parthos or Parthos. And that was a settlement, get ready to have your mind blown, of the Illyrian tribe of the Partheni in southern Illyrian, modern Albania.
What?
Ooh.
Sarah J Maas is just throwing Sarah J Maas.
She's got the moss.
Sarah Jana Maas.
Sarah J Maas just throwing some shit in there.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I thought that was a very cool connection. We'll see if that comes into play later.
Well, as the only person at this table that has read House of Flame and Shadow, I can say,
Hey, I'm 56% of the way through, so I can also go, oh.
No.
Just so y'all know, I don't plan on reading this before we do our episode.
Well,
So
that sucks to be you.
good luck.
it's gonna be very fun. I think
it will be. Yeah.
So, Whitney, correct me if I'm wrong. So, we're doing 3 episodes of Crescent City 1, 3 episodes of Crescent City 2.
Yep.
And you're going to use your huge brain and vast knowledge to give us really a good, because we're doing these faster than we're going to do Crescent City 3, which will be 10 episodes. You're going to give us the highlights of what we need to know instead of us doing the 10 fact recap. Right?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go back to that when we get to Crescent City 3.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are we're only doing 3 episodes on this first book, which is hundreds and hundreds of pages,
Like
right?
800 pages.
I mean, to try to narrow down to just 10 things, like here are just 10 things that happened. Like, I mean, it's just too,
That's on one
crazy.
page.
Yes. Like that's just too crazy. So I have been rereading these books, and I'm pulling out the most important things that we need to know from this section right now. So
Hold on to your butts.
let me just say, I am not trying to do a summary of these chapters. I'm just trying to give the big, most important pieces of information that you need to move forward in the story. So this series has a huge cast of characters and a lot of moving parts and a lot of plot points. And so there are important things from these first 2 parts, these first 37 chapters that you will not hear me mention right now. Listeners, that
Why
doesn't
am I even
mean
here?
that doesn't mean that I don't think it's important or that I missed it. I'm just trying to keep it simple because
Are you worried that the Mastum is going to come at you?
yes. There will be but you didn't say anything about Sabine. Okay, I
Well,
will.
fuck her.
I will. We'll all get there together, but I'm not gonna. I can't do everything all at once, right? It's
can't
just
do it
for a
all.
couple of
it's
hours.
just too much,
She
right?
can't do it all, you guys.
I'm doing my best. So let's get into it. Okay. Let's start with location. We are on the planet Midgard. Midgard organizes its people groups into 4 houses. And this is in the front of all the Crescent City books, the 4 houses of Midgard. You've got House of Earth and Blood, House of Sky and Breath, House of Many Waters, and House of Flame and Shadow. These 3 of these houses are also the titles for these first 3 Crescent City books. There will be more Crescent City books. That
Will there? There's going to be a
SJM
4
said, yeah,
Crescent City?
Yeah, she
Oh.
said she's writing more. So I'm thinking maybe House of Many Waters will be the next one because that's the only house
That's the only house
has
that's
it.
the only one left.
Yeah, has the only one left. I don't know. So the House of Earth and Blood includes shifters, humans, witches, ordinary animals, and many others to whom Sathona calls. I don't know if that's how you actually say that goddess's name.
I thought it was Chthona.
I thought it was Chthona, too.
Okay.
Yeah, because of Cthulhu. Yeah, Chthona.
Chthona, as well as some chosen by Luna. House of Sky and Breath includes Malachim, which are the angels, Fae, elementals, sprites who actually got kicked out of the house for their part in a rebellion, and those who are blessed by Solus, as well as some favored by Luna. House of Many Waters contains river spirits, myrrh, water beasts, nymphs, kelpies, nox, and others watched over by Ogenis?
Ogenas.
AS.
Yes.
House of Flame and Shadow is for demonici, reapers, wraiths, vampires or vampers, draki, dragons, necromancers, and many wicked and unnamed things that even Erd herself cannot see. Now, that is the official government language. Like that is how it's worded in the front of all the books, because it's like a governmental decree, right? Okay, so whole planet, that's how they're organized, those 4 houses. Within the planet of Midgard, we're focusing on just the city of Lunathion, aka Crescent City. Okay. This is where most of the action of the entire series takes place. Crescent City and Midgard in general has a hierarchy of people groups in and of themselves, not just the 4 houses, but also like all the beings within the 4 houses. So at the bottom of the barrel, you have the humans, and then the Vanir, which are basically everyone who isn't a human, but not an angel or Asteri. So these are like the creatures, people that have magic, the Fae, those are all Vanir. The Vanir have their own hierarchy in that group by itself, which the Fae consider themselves to be the top of the food chain. Above the Vanir are the angels, and then archangels, who serve as governors over the cities, and above everybody are the Asteri, and they are the godlike beings or god beings that have complete control and final say in everything. So now that gets me into the main players that I'm going to focus on today: Bryce, Hunt, and Danica. There are a lot of other characters that are very important and vital to the story. We will talk more about them later.
Okay.
Right. Like we'll talk more about them later. Okay. Bryce Quinlan. She's half human, half Fae. She is a part of House and Sky and Breath because of her Fae father, who we find out in these chapters is the Autumn King. He got her that status. Otherwise, she would have been in House of Earth and Blood as a part human, right? After he got her that status, he absolutely dropped her and does not acknowledge her as his child because she isn't powerful enough for him, basically. He can't use her, so what's the point? He sucks, and we hate him. That's pretty much what we got with the Autumn King. Bryce's human mother is amazing, and we love her. She is Ember. And her stepfather, Randall, is who Bryce considers her actual dad. He is also amazing, and we love him.
Can I put something in?
Hunt, go ahead. I was going to say, I love how Hunt like fangirls her dad later.
Yes. Yeah, I was like, oh, Randall. Oh, my.
If you're having trouble picturing any of these people, I will put in the show notes. It's completely baffling me what this artist's name is, and I follow them on Patreon and everything. I will put in the show notes someone who's done some really good illustrations of even these like smaller characters, and they're amazing. So if like you need something to picture like I do, I can do that.
Yes, thank you. And don't just randomly Google them if you haven't read all 3 of the books.
Nope, spoilers.
You will find a bunch of spoilers. So Bryce is half siblings with Rune Danon, Prince of the Valbaran Fae.
In my pants.
He is the child that the Autumn King actually does claim because Rune has some power and is considered starborn because of the type of power he has.
And let's be honest, because he's a dude.
Yeah, well, yes. And he's not half human. He's full Fae, right? Rune and Bryce keep it a secret that they are siblings and tell everybody that they're just distant cousins. They do not have a good relationship because of their daddy issues, essentially, and also because Rune got mad and called Bryce a half-breed slut about 10 years prior.
Rune. I know.
It was bad news bears. We do see from his POV that he like regrets that and has tried to apologize, and Bryce is like, no, you were a dick. I'm not doing this. But there we go. So that's the very, very basic stuff about Bryce. Bryce is best friends with Danica. Danica is a wolf shifter and in a very powerful position in her pack. Danica and Bryce are like beyond close, beyond BFFs. They've been friends for years. Danica loves and accepts Bryce for who she is and is somebody that is in Bryce's inner circle because she has been chosen by Bryce to be part of her like found family, which is very important to Bryce since her biological father is such an asshole. I mean, like that's really important to her. Danica is brutally murdered in part 1, The Hollow, and it absolutely breaks Bryce and sends her into this deep depression and a grief spiral.
It broke me too, for the record.
It's horrible.
I remember reading this and being like, what the fuck? We're 60 pages in and everyone just died.
Yeah, it's really rough. Danica's entire pack is also killed at the same time, which includes Connor Holstrom, who is basically Bryce's version of Sam Cortland, if you've read Throne of Glass. Like, they weren't together officially, but they had just decided, we read in these first chapters, they had just decided to give it a try with a relationship with each other because they're basically both like in love with each other and just like afraid to cross that line from friends to lovers.
If you read any fantasy, never trust the first love interest.
Yeah.
Ever. They're going to die or they're going to be a dick.
Yeah.
Especially if it's Sarah J Maas.
I know. I was just thinking she loves that. So this whole pack, especially Connor and especially Danica, these are Bryce's closest friends. They are basically her entire life, and she loses all of them all at once. And that brings in Hunt Athalar, the Umbra Mortis. He is a powerful angel who is forced to work for Crescent City's governor, Micah, who is an archangel. Hunt was a leader of a rebellion against the Asteri 200 years ago and has been enslaved to different archangels ever since. Part of Hunt's history in that rebellion is that he was in love with the archangel Shahar, who was a rebel, and he loved her and believed in the cause and then joined up. Shahar died during the rebellion, and so when the rebellion failed and Hunt was enslaved to the archangels, he lost everything. That was the most important things in his life all at once, just like Bryce did. He is known as the Umbra Mortis, the Shadow of Death, because he is extremely powerful and very good at his job, which is basically like going and killing people when Micah tells him to. So, part 1 of this book is basically meeting Danica, setting up Danica and Bryce, who they are, what their relationship is, and then Danica gets murdered. Part 2, right? Part 2 picks up 2 years after Danica's murder. The leadership realizes they have blamed the wrong person for these murders, and the Archangel Micah tells Bryce that she has to investigate to figure out this murder mystery, essentially, before a bunch of other archangels show up in Crescent City next month. Hunt is assigned to protect her and help her in this investigation. And Hunt is told he will only have to do 10 more kills for Micah if he and Bryce can figure this out before the archangels show up to gain his freedom. So they have to figure this out before the other archangels show up, and then Hunt will only have to have 10 more kills instead of like 2,000 more kills to earn his freedom. So that sets up the action that is happening in part 2, which is the trench. Bryce and Hunt discover somebody summoned an ancient demon that you mentioned a minute ago, Mindy, called the Crystallis to kill Danica and her pack. That demon is now showing up again and killing more people. At the same time, Rune is being told to find Luna's horn, which is a Fae artifact that went missing right before Danica got killed. It turns out that everyone being killed by this demon is somehow connected to the horn. Dun dun dun. Dun, dun, dun. Rune has discovered that the horn has the power to open up doors between worlds if it can be fixed. Fun times for everybody. So we are in the middle of Bryce, Hunt, and Rune trying to figure out what the connection is between the horn, the demon, the killings, and Danica.
Good job, Whitney.
Thank you so much.
I feel really caught up.
I know. That really was very succinct and a great overview. I love that.
It's almost like you used to be a teacher.
That was genuinely a lot of fun to do, and I'm really excited to continue doing those for the next 5 episodes.
I'm dying to know, because you went that deep into it, what your favorite moment of these chapters is.
I actually had a really hard time picking one, but
I kept copy and pasting stuff into every answer, and I was like, I can't have 5.
Yes, it was really, really hard, and I ended up like, I don't know if this is my actual favorite, but it's one of them, so I'm just going with it, you know? This was actually kind of close to the end of part 2, when Bryce and Hunt are at the gun range. They're meeting Rune and Rune's roommates, basically Flynn and Declan, and they kind of have this I see you moment. Like, I see who you are. I see you for who you are. Because Hunt has kind of realized that he misjudged Bryce very badly. He had made all these assumptions about her as like a party girl who's kind of an idiot and is a spoiled rich kid, whatever. And he realizes that slowly over time he sees she's letting people believe that about her, but that's really not who she is. And so they both have this moment at the gun range where he and she both are like, I see you. You're not a crazy, horrible person because you work for Micah. You're not a crazy, horrible person because you were a party girl and your friends died while you were out partying. Like, I see who you are and I like what I see. And I really love that. It reminded me a lot of Feyre and Rhysand in A Court of Mist and Fury, where she literally says to Rhysand, I see you and I'm not afraid of you. Right. You can be yourself with me.
That
I really
part made
loved
me
it.
cry.
I know. I loved it so much.
So mine actually kind of goes with that. Early in the book, when Bryce goes under Hunt's protection, she seems to flippantly be going to get her nails done.
Yeah.
And of course, Hunt is furious that she's not taking the hunt for the murderer seriously. And like you said a minute ago, little does she know that finding the murderer lowers the body count that Hunt owes to Micah from 2,000 to 10.
Right.
So the whole thing is he has to murder the amount of people that he killed in the rebellion, right? Which is like 2,000 something. So when Hunt confronts Bryce about not taking things seriously, she mind fucks him by giving him all types of information that she's gathered up through her contacts, like, you know, the nail lady. So I love it. It's like a big fuck you to him for being such a dick.
Yeah, she reveals, like, I had a very specific strategy for doing this. I didn't just go get my nails done and then happen to run. Right. Like, I did that on purpose because I know what I'm doing. Right.
Right.
I loved that too.
You don't have to, you know, torture people for information, is essentially because the Umbra Mortis is known for torture and death. That's what his job is.
He's
and
the shadow of death. Yeah.
Is feared in the entire city. Right. And she's like, you don't have to do that. You could just like be nice to people and ask them stuff.
Be normal, Hunt.
Yeah.
Come on.
I will say though, Bryce gets sassier and sassier the further the series goes on, and she has some pure Aelin vibes by the end of Crescent City too. Yeah.
Because my favorite moment also involves Bryce, and I was like you guys, there were so many and I kept adding them. So I just went back to the first one that really endeared Bryce to me. And it's when she breaks up with that douche boyfriend Reed. And then like she's watching this Fey woman with like a human that she's drugged. And she goes over and she kind of taunts her and basically like insults her. And then she walks away and she flips off the hostess on her way out. It's just such a classic badass Bryce move. Up until then, I was kind of like, I'm not really sure what's going on here. Like, I want to like her because obviously she's the heroine, but like there wasn't anything that wowed me about her until that moment.
Sarah J Maas makes you think she's vapid at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then that I'm like, okay, yes, I like her.
Yeah.
She knows how to stick up for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Bryce a lot. Let's hear our least favorite moments. This is going to be a real downer, guys.
It's always a bummer.
For me, it's when Ethan will not allow Bryce to attend Danica's selling ceremony, which is the way that the soul passes on in this universe, right? It's like Charon, is that how you pronounce it? Like the guy that takes people up the river in other mythology. Yeah. So Ethan thinks that Bryce fucked over his brother, Connor, by sleeping with another guy while Connor was getting killed after they had kind of said they were going to get together, right? Yeah. So Bryce lives with incredible guilt that she was out partying while all of them died, and she doesn't get to say goodbye to really her one true friend, and it broke my
world.
Heart, right? Yeah. I am happy that Ethan comes around because, man, he is a dick in this book.
Yeah, we'll meet him a little bit later, but yeah, that moment is rough.
Yes.
What about you, Mindy?
Mine was when they capture Bryce and like kind of when they're at Micah's group captures her and she's down in their dungeons or whatever, and they're trying to question her and because they at this point they're like, why is she so connected with all this? This is after they've all died, and they start showing her footage of the night that Danica and the pack died, and they show her all this camera footage from like when she's watching herself go through that moment again.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine how heartbreaking that would be to relive that moment that was so gut-wrenching for her and so heartbreaking for her to just relive it again and see herself.
Doesn't she like vomit uncontrollably too? Yeah.
She does.
Awful.
Yeah.
It's just a terrible, terrible moment for me. I'm like, I would never subject somebody to that.
That's almost the same as my least favorite moment, except mine is when she lives that moment the first time.
The actual time?
Yeah, just her stumbling home and having partied so hard and being totally out of it, and that horrible slow realization, like step by step she realizes what is happening and what she's stepping in and what she's looking at, and she is seeing, I mean, just forget the emotional impact of my friends are dead. It's also horrifically traumatic and bloody and so gory and so like
they're
she's
in pieces.
Yeah, she's not seeing her friends laying on the floor. She is seeing chunks and like heaps of red stuff. Yeah, you know, like that's kind of how she describes it.
They're like dismembered.
Yes, like they are not recognizable. Really, she can tell which one was Danica and which one was Connor based on, and which one was Thorn based on how they're positioned with each other. Yeah. You know, and I mean that is just, it's awful. And then she tries to catch the killer, not realizing that the killer is going to be like an insane ancient demon or whatever, and can't do anything about it. Right? It's so awful. I mean, she really lost like her whole world in a second, and it's just awful. It's awful. So let's bring it up.
I don't know if I'm going to bring it up, actually.
Yeah. Mine is not bad.
Mindy, why don't you go first?
Yeah, you go first. Keep it down.
Because it really just tacks onto that. Because my biggest revelation when I was reading this book the first time was like, it took me a little bit to get invested in it, and then all of a sudden, what the fuck, they all die. I just got like into these characters, and I'm like learning about these characters. I mean, she describes each of the ones in the pack as like what their role is and what they look like and how they, like what their personalities
she gave
were.
A main character energy.
Yeah, like she really like made us start to want to get to know these characters, and then all of a sudden they're fucking gone, and I was like, what the hell? Yeah. I was like, never mind, that's not the story we're telling.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah, it kind of is, but also not. Yeah, she gives the main character energy because they're the main characters for Bryce, you know? Yeah. And therefore we have to think of them that way too. But it's a rough way to start a book.
I see why. And it definitely is a really cool plot, way to move along the plot. But when I first read it, I'm like, what the fuck? I think I even texted one of you and I was like, why am I reading this? Like, what?
Just keep reading, Mindy.
Just keep reading. Yeah, no, it's a lot.
It was rough.
My biggest revelation, I've just am noticing so many little moments between Bryce and Hunt that remind me of things that happen in the ACOTAR series with like Feyre and Rhysand. Oh, I'm going to tell you in a second. But also of Aelin and Rowan in Throne of Glass. So there was one part in particular where Bryce and Hunt are sitting together, and she moves and like repositions herself, and Hunt is like, checking her out like a creep, and says that she is baring her like golden tan throat to him. And I was like, immediately thought of Aelin and Rowan in Throne of Glass, because she bares her throat to Rowan, and it talks about
Doesn't he bite her?
Well, yeah, but she purposefully bares her throat to him when they're like making out or something, and he clocks it and is like super turned on because she trusts him that much, and she's like, this is the only person I would ever bare my throat to, like to be that vulnerable with. And so I was like, and then that whole like I see you and I'm not afraid of it kind of vibe with Feyre and Rhysand, like things like that, little things like that, where I'm like, that's interesting. Especially there have been several mentions so far in the book of one of them saying something or mentioning something, and the other one, their instincts kicked in, their hackles rise, whatever, because Bryce mentioned a guy, or Hunt mentioned another girl, or they noticed the other one super hot, and it talks about their instincts a lot, which I thought was really interesting.
You know what is in this book and what is not in this book? I've noticed already lint is in this book twice. But we do not have watery bowels, which are nice.
Praise be.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Let's hope we don't.
Refreshing.
Yeah, we did have a like calls to like.
I did notice.
Right.
I did notice that.
Yeah.
I was like, what does that mean?
You had memes that said that, and a bunch of people reposted it. They're like, I don't get it either.
Nobody but SJM knows really what that means.
Right.
What was your biggest revelation, Deb?
So I don't think the first time I read this, I truly understood the drop and how significant it is. So the government in this series tells the supernatural creatures that the drop is easy, that it's essentially falling into one's power. But once the bottom of their power is reached, and like they literally drop, they're like falling through time and space or whatever. Once the bottom of their power is reached, the mortal body dies, and they only have 6 minutes allowed for them to race back up essentially to the surface, or their brain shuts down and they suffocate from lack of oxygen. And I didn't remember it being so dangerous because, again, the government's like, it's easy, you drop. And like we find out more about this later. But, another thing, and this is one of my questions is, if all of these supernatural creatures know that making the drop makes them essentially immortal, like things can happen, right? But they're essentially immortal. Why do they wait?
I think because it freezes you. It essentially like freezes you
in time.
I mean, they will.
So you don't want to
age.
be like 15,
right?
Well, they do talk about. She brings up that Danica and her had said 27 because that's when they're like. That's right before they're going to get like flabby and their boobs are going to sag and that
wrinkles
kind of,
and stuff.
and they don't want to. Why would you want to freeze?
But I'm like, once you're out in the real world, like out of college and stuff, I would think I would want to do it right away.
Well, some people do.
Yeah.
Right. It's a good plot device here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's important to the book, but also I'm like, Danica was an alpha. She should have made the drop, and it seems kind of silly that no one made her.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of weird too. Like, I mean, maybe that's part of her wanting to be like in control.
I was just about to say that might have been a rebellion,
destiny
against her mom.
Right. Yeah. 100%. But yeah, I just never caught on to the fact that, people die when they do it. It's kind of like turning fully fey or going through the culling in From Blood and Ash. Like these things have dangerous consequences, right? Like they're great as long as you make it. Good luck.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
And you have to have a tether for the drop too. Someone that essentially you're going to quote unquote want to bounce back to.
Yeah. Your anchor.
Right. So if you're like, don't have a good support system, then you die essentially.
Yeah. Hunt had to use a like government employee, like a government assigned anchor.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Good times.
Poor Hunt.
Poor slave.
Well, let's talk about spice. Let's talk about
Mine's
spice,
one sentence, my favorite spicy scene. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. When Rune was introduced in the book.
Rune Denon.
I mean, he is probably my favorite book boyfriend, except for Castile.
Yeah.
He is so fucking hot. My God. I just can't even get over it. But as soon as it was like, and then Rune, I was like, oh, my panties fell off.
Look what happened by accident.
Did you have a spicy scene?
I did. I mean, there isn't really spice, right? But I did really, really like the scene where Bryce and Hunt are sitting on the couch. He's trying to watch a game or something, and they're talking about the TV or whatever. And she suddenly becomes extremely aware that his thigh is touching her leg. And like, it feels so warm, and he's so muscly. And like, she's just like kind of
That's some preacher daughters porn right there.
Well, just the inner freak out of her realizing that she's like noticing this and that she's thinking about how hot he is and is like trying to be appropriate. Like, don't think like that.
Bodyguard behavior.
Yes. Yeah. I really love that trope. It is basically forbidden, but they're not doing anything. Right. You know, I just really love that. That's funny. I didn't think about that. That is a preacher's kid. Oh man.
Which is why I did not like. That's great. Like now to hear you explain it, I'm like, okay, I can see how that would be sexy.
The angst,
like
tension,
yeah.
But yeah, I was like, what spice?
They don't have sex until book 2, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Ugh.
Let me sidetrack for just a second because you saying that preacher's kid, that just made me think of something. So in church, my first like serious boyfriend, like high school, we used to sit next to each other like during the church service and cross our arms.
Hold hands
so that we could hold hands like behind our arms. So like,
do you mean
nobody
sweaty,
could see?
shaky hands?
I'm sure. Yeah. But we have talked before, I think in previous seasons about how my first kiss was like in an empty Sunday school room. So that is so funny. Cause that is like, we're barely like touching fingers, but it counts as holding hands. And it's like,
and it was electric.
It was. It really was
because it was blessed by God.
No, I think it was because it wasn't. That's really funny. That's just a sidetrack. I'll write my own book someday, guys. Don't worry.
Well, I will say my chapter MVP goes with one of your favorite moments when you said that everybody takes Bryce for granted, right?
Yeah.
So there's a quote where she says, "Nothing's wrong with the party girl. I don't get why the world thinks there is. It's easier for me when people assume the worst about what I am. It lets me see who they really are." I love that she stops drinking as soon as Danica dies and starts to investigate the murder, but she lets everyone think she's still a party girl. Like she's drinking water and everybody thinks it's like vodka.
Everybody just assumes.
Right.
Yeah.
So they say way more in front of her because they think she's drunk or ditzy, which is so fucking smart. And I love that so much about her. And as the reader too, again, you're told she's still partying. She's still doing all this shit. She's still fucking people in the bathroom. Nope, she's drinking water and sitting at the bar and listening to people.
She's just sitting there.
Yeah. She's gathering info.
Yeah, I love that about her.
She was my MVP too.
Mine too. Yeah.
And really, for all of the reasons you said and for stuff we've said before, I just really like her and her sass. And one of the things I love that moment, like you were talking about, where she goes into the nail salon and she acts like she's just being a bitch to him, making him wait out in the rain and everything. And then later she's like, "Oh, by the way,
yeah,
that was his girlfriend, and I got all this info for you."
There's a method to my madness.
She is. She's just clever and sassy and just she's a fun heroine.
She really is. Yeah. Somebody, I might have been you, Debs, talked about her like Aelin energy. And that is exactly what I wrote down for her being my chapter MVP. She is just amazing. She doesn't ever want to share her plans like with Hunt, right? She's not, that's a total Aelin move. I'm just going to do this and not tell anybody about it. Letting everybody believe the worst of her made me think about Rhysand from ACOTAR, right? Like he lets everybody believe he's this horrible person because it protects his people, right?
You know what though, Sarah J Maas does such a good job developing characters that I'm not reading this going, okay, we've already seen this.
I agree.
I don't know how she does it, but I don't feel like I've read this character before.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
because she
still
takes
intriguing.
little pieces of energy and but it's not that character.
But it's still a completely different character. Yeah, I really love her and Bryce and her. I also love Sarah J, but Bryce, and especially like she's just so motivated by her love for Danica. Like she is deeply, deeply broken by all of this. However, she isn't just like wallowing in depression. She's trying to make it right for her friend, and I just really appreciate that because that's really hard to push through grief and depression like that and do something good, and she just tries so hard, and I really appreciate that a lot. Who was your favorite secondary character?
Mine was Leheba.
Me too.
Yeah, who wouldn't want a faithful friend who is fiery and you could fit in your pocket, right?
And watches like vampire soap operas all day.
I love that whole, like her whole personality, and I just think it's so adorable how like she ends up with a little crush on Hunt, and he's so sweet to her, and he's like, "Well, aren't you adorable?" And
that is exactly
Bryce has like
exactly what I wrote
a
down.
settee for her.
I know.
That she like puts in front of her phone, and she's like just laying there naked and fired, just like, "Hey, Hunt, how's it going?"
Yeah, she's so funny to me, and her little lines of like, "Is everything okay out there?" when she's really just trying to like creep on everybody and spy. And I love the interactions between her and Hunt where he's like so like flirty and gentle with her, and he is not like that with anybody else. I love the way that she can bring out a side to the shadow of death that nobody else gets to see. I love that a lot. I love her.
Mine was Fury.
Oh.
I don't know if you all caught this, but she's such a badass that Hunt has actually been sent to kill her twice and failed.
That.
Yes.
I thought that was so cool. And also, she is the only one that calls Bryce on her bullshit for ditching all of her friends during her grief. She's like, "Hello, we're still right here going through the same exact shit that you're going through. Like, we were 4 best friends. You ditched us. What happened?" And she essentially calls Bryce out enough to get Bryce to like wake up a little bit, which I really appreciate. But I love that the Umbra Mortis can't kill her.
I did.
It's your only job, dude.
You have one job, please. What about a favorite quote? I'm curious to hear what your quotes were.
There's something that really stuck out for me. The universe is massive. Some believe it has no end, or that our universe might be one in a multitude, as bountiful as the stars in the sky or sand on the beach. So Sarah J Maas literally told us she was going to have a multiverse, and we just thought she was writing really pretty. She's like, "Here it is. Here's what I'm doing. Did you guys catch this? I'm telling you there's more than one universe. There's a bunch of people in it," and we didn't catch it at all. I thought that was a nice little Easter egg in there. Early in the book, too.
Yeah, I totally did not even clock that.
I didn't either. I'm like, okay.
What about you, Mindy?
I just had a couple. They're both kind of funny, but going back to Lehebone, part of the reason I think she's just hilarious. Danica at one point asks, "What's got your panties in a twist, Lehebone?" And she says, "I don't wear panties or clothes. They don't pair well when you're made of flame, Danica."
Duh.
Damn you, idiot.
And then I also got some serious Sam and Dean supernatural vibes when Bryce is leaving for her date and Danica says, "Light it up, bitch," and then Bryce replies, "Light it up, asshole." It's like their version of Sam and Dean's bitch jerk, you know.
Yeah, but it's also like, I love you.
Yeah.
Love you so much.
Love you, bye. Well, mine is a Hunt POV quote. He didn't say it, but he was thinking it. They were talking about Danica, and Bryce was very clearly going into her grief spiral, and he was trying to cheer her up and made a joke about his butt. And he says, but Bryce grinned, and damn if the morning sun didn't finally make an appearance at the sight of it. And I'm like, ugh, it's really sweet. I
want
that.
someone to think my smile is like the best thing on the planet.
Right?
Too.
My husband's like, "Why are you smiling at me like that?"
You're creeping me out.
No, he's like, "What are you up to?"
What are you
Like,
planning?
I mess with my 12-year-old son like incessantly, and he does me too. And so if I'm sitting there grinning at him, he's like, "What? What are you doing? What, Mom? What's up?
happening?"
What's up? Yeah.
That's funny. Well, for this next section, for questions, I don't really have any that I can share because my questions are all related to House of Flame and Shadow. So
Yeah.
I'm going to yield my time and let you guys talk.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the number 7, if that's okay.
Yeah.
7.
7. We see it a lot in this book, and I got really interested in this the more I saw it in these chapters, and so I did a little deep dive about the number 7.
Ooh.
Came across something that I'm hoping is going to blow your mind, but like I told you before we started recording, if you look at me and go, "Yeah," I'm going to be mortified. Okay.
I would not do that.
We both would do that to each other.
I would wait until the mics were off.
Liar. Well, you'd give me a look and I would start laughing. And I'd be like, "You knew that, didn't you?" Okay. So the number 7 is typically symbolic of intuition, wisdom, growing self-awareness, spiritual revelations, and big shifts that can have an impact on your life. And according to Psychology Today, the number 7 has held significance in almost every major religion. In the Old Testament of the Bible, the world is created in 6 days and God rested on the 7th. In the New Testament of the Bible, the number 7 symbolizes the unity of the 4 corners of the earth with the Holy Trinity, which is 3. The number 7 is also featured in my favorite terrifying book, Revelations, which has 7 churches, 7 angels, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 stars. Mm-hmm. The book also discusses the 7th seal, which begins the process of the second coming and the rapture. The Quran speaks of 7 heavens, and Muslim pilgrims walk around the Kaaba in Mecca, which is Islam's most sacred site, 7 times. In Hinduism, there are 7 higher worlds and 7 underworlds. And in Buddhism, the newborn Buddha raises and takes 7 steps. In ancient Egypt, there were 7 paths to heaven and 7 heavenly cows. And Osiris led his father through 7 halls of the underworld. And finally, in ancient Judaism, 7 indicates completion or perfection. So I don't know if you all noticed, but in this book, there are 7 gates in Crescent City and 7 layers of hell in this universe. I figured out something very interesting. It just took me 2 hours of research because I was trying to get those two things to correlate, and I think I got it. So I started researching the symbols for the gates as well as where they sit on the Crescent City map. And if you're looking at the gates on the map, these areas of the city go in order of the layers of Sarah J Maas's hell in this universe, okay? So from the top to the bottom, the gate symbols in each area have symbolic or literal meanings from the layers of hell in this book. Okay. So
like the hollow, the trench, all that.
Yes. So you talked about this earlier, how they have a hierarchy, right? From humans to the Asteri, right? Humans are on the lowest, Asteri are on the top. So if you start at the top of the map and talk about the first level. This is the hollow. The hollow is symbolic of the lack of real substance or soundness or genuineness, and this so happens to be where asphodel meadows are, and that's where the humans sit. In the 2 gems. So if you go back to the gates that they talk about, they have these symbols for each of the other gates on there, and there's usually like some sort of crystal and some other symbol on there. So for asphodel meadows, there's an amethyst and a hand are the symbols for this gate, which are recognized to having connection to spirits, aka the angels or gods. Second, in the layers of hell, we have the trench, which is symbolic of someone needing protection. And guess who lives there? The Fae. And if you read ahead, you know that the Asteri are essentially parasites for the Fae, or like you said, the veneer, right? And their gate symbol is emerald and roses, which stands for truth and love. So hopefully that means they're going to persevere in the end. Dear God, they've been through a lot. Third, we have the canyon, which represents transition. So this is the 3rd layer of hell, and we're about a 3rd way down on the map. And this is the central business district, which you will hear called CBD, which means something
CBD
else completely different to me.
I kept going like, who's getting that?
I know. And this is where all the angels live. And if we think of them in this universe, we often find that angels are trying to lead a rebellion for a better world. And it just so happens that the opal and wings that are the symbols on this gate represent luck and protection. So the 4th layer we have is the ravine, which is a lonely and violent place that's averse to settlement. We're about halfway down on the map at this point, and at the old square, which is the touristy and more poor region. The symbols on this gate are ruby and rose, which are symbolic of power. Guess who lives there? Bryce. The next symbol of SJM's hell is the chasm, which is an area of major division, separation, or difference. This is representative of the meat market, which is a place for lost souls. And the 2 symbols on this gate are tiger's eye and serpent, which represent evil power and chaos for the underworld. And we know this is where the Viper Queen lives, and she's said to only serve the underworld.
Yeah.
The 6th layer, next to last, is the abyss, which is defined as a unfathomably deep or boundless place. The gate in this area is Moonwood, where the werewolves live, Danica's pack. We've seen major derision among the wolves with the Alpha Sabine, who is just a major twat waffle.
Definitely.
To say the least.
To say the least. This is also, like I said, where Danica lived. And with the gate symbols being sapphire in the oak tree, they are known to stand for truth and wisdom. So we can assume that her death, and we're going to figure out her lies later on, are to help Bryce figure out the truth behind the Asteri. And finally, we have the 7th layer, which is quite literally called the pit, which is a symbol for hell. This is where the bone quarter is housed, literally at the bottom of the map. So the symbols onyx and the skull and crossbones are on the button at the gate for here. And I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. So having said that, the pirates used to wear skulls as a reminder of mortality, or a memento mori, which is Latin for remember you are mortal and remember you must die. So if you look at the map, those go in order from top to bottom. And I love that it starts with the humans and ends all the way with them dying at the very bottom. I just thought it was a cool connection.
That is really cool.
Really cool.
I did not know that.
Really long fucking time.
It was totally worth it. I love that.
Yeah, so I'll put a picture of the map.
This is all brand new information.
Brand new information. But yeah, there's a really cool person on Etsy that it's like hand drawn the map out.
Oh, cool.
And so I'll post a picture of that. I'm just going to buy the file from her because she deserves it. She did a really good job.
Awesome.
So yeah, the number 7
Bravo.
and hell
Very cool.
and all the creatures in the story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Deb.
That's really
You're
cool.
so welcome.
That is really cool.
I did have a couple of questions. First, on my first read of this, and I know the answer now, obviously, but I kept wanting to know what the significance of the tattoo was because they keep mentioning it. Obviously, and we'll go over that when we come to that, I guess. But that was just one thing that kept getting mentioned. Also, okay, we always talk about what the fuck does the light calls the light mean? So the horn says it can only be repaired by light that is not light, magic that is not magic.
I noticed that too.
What the fuck does that mean? Apparently, Whitney knows.
I know too, a little bit.
We'll talk more about it later.
In one of those 10 episode arcs.
We'll talk about it later.
All right. Well, I guess, this is all going to be new information to me.
It'll be new information for me when I read it the second time, believe me.
So another question I had, I have two more. Why does the Oracle tell Hunt to stay away from Bryce?
I wondered that too.
I guess we find that out.
I don't think
also.
I've gotten that far.
I think I have an answer, but I can't talk about it yet.
I have a question about the Oracle too, Mindy. Okay. She told Rune that he will be the last of the royal bloodline, that it's going to end with him, or her words, like the royal bloodline will end with you. Is that because Bryce is now the true Starborn and therefore his line has ended?
I can't talk about it.
I guess I need to keep reading.
This is a great way to have listeners come back.
There are a lot of different theories about what that means. And once you finish House of Flame and Shadow, you'll understand.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
So my final question is about the Asteri. And just in general, where the fuck is that going, right? Like, this is obviously
I can't
big
talk
deal.
about
I know
that.
you can't. But one thing that got me interested, because I started, and I know, so it's going to go from like, duh, obviously, to like, I might blow your minds. We'll see. You all might be like, I kind of was like you, Deb. I was like, oh, they're going to be like, I already knew that.
They're all going to laugh at you.
So it's pretty obvious that the name Asteri, it derives from the Greek word meaning star, right? And
obviously,
duh. Okay, so maybe this is all going to be new information. So
I don't speak Greek, that. Mindy.
So each one of the Asteri is named after a star.
You're a star.
Did you not realize that?
No.
Okay, so this is cool.
Blow our minds.
So actually, most of them are.
I'm a really smart person. Okay.
So first, I'm going to start with Sirius. That's the one Asteri that was killed, right? And the star Sirius is known as the brightest star in the night sky. It's also called the dog star because it's a part of the constellation known as Canis Majoris, or the greater dog. So to the ancient Greeks...
That's my favorite position.
To the ancient Greeks, the first sight of Sirius marked the dog days of summer. Keep that in mind, in the northern hemisphere. But for the Polynesians in the southern hemisphere, it marked the start of winter.
Okay.
So where else have we seen summer and winter?
In the courts?
Yeah. So also, when you're thinking about the dog star, it could also refer to wolves in some way. Sure. So that's another way to look at it.
Caninea majoris.
Yes.
Woof woof.
So the second one is called Octartus. And I think when I was looking through it, there's not one that's actually called Octartus, but it looks like it's a nod to Sigma Octantis, which is the southern pole star. So in the south. So the South Pole star. Polaris, on the other hand, is commonly called the North Star and is considered the northern pole star. So we've got, regions, I guess, there. Regulus. This refers to the star Rigel, which is the brightest star in the constellation of Orion.
Which is Hunt's actual name.
Yes. So it comes from the Arabic name, and I'm going to totally butcher this, Rigel Yauza al-Yusra. And Yauza is the proper name for Orion. And in Greek mythology, Orion is a huntsman. So we've got Orion, Hunt, Athalar. Right?
Do we know who Hunt's dad is?
I'm guessing we find out.
That's a private matter.
We don't know in book 1 or 2 who Hunt's dad is.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. So this is where it gets really, really interesting and weird. The next two, one is called Eosphorus and the other one is Hesperus. And I'm putting these two together because they're actually both different depictions of stars of Venus. Or Venus is a star, but they're different depictions of it. So Hesperus is Venus as the evening star, so night, which correlates with the Greek god of Venus appearing as the evening star. And then Eosphorus, also sometimes called Phosphorus, is Venus as the morning star.
The day?
Or dawn, or even,
day and night.
It is also sometimes translated as dawnbringer and correlates with the Greek god of Venus as the morning star. And at least one poet in Greek mythology, and I think it's seen elsewhere, Greek mythology is like nobody agrees on anything, but at least one guy has said, and his name is Hesiod. He has called both Hesperus and Eosphorus sons of the goddess Eos. They're half-brothers. Hold on to that for later. The final Asteri. His name is Ostrus. There's no star named Ostrus, so it's a little tricky. I did stumble upon a Greek god called Astrius. He is the god of the dusk. What?
Ooh.
Now it gets weirder. Astrius married Eos, the goddess of the dawn. You remember, she's been the mother of both Hesperus and Eosphorus. Eosphorus is often named as the son of Astrius and Eos. So this is where it gets really, really weird. The Latin word for the Greek of Phosphorus and Eosphorus is actually Lucifer.
Oh.
And in Hebrew, it's translated as Hallel. Hallel is the Hebrew name for the morning star, also known as the shining one, also known as day star, also known as son of Shahar or dawn.
Ooh.
Oh, the tangled web you weave, Sarah Janet.
Ooh.
So there's all sorts of clues and connections to the courts and different parts of the story.
Other characters.
She never does any. I mean, we say this all the time. She never does anything on
Do you think
accident.
she gets pissed off when she hears stuff like this? And she's like, fuck, I looked at that for months. And you just figured it out with one deep dive.
Well, in all fairness, it took me a couple hours
Same
to like put all this
I
together.
feel like
but
she would get excited. Like,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I was
it's
going
worth
for.
it,
Yeah.
I just like it was the first time I'd realized that all their names were actually stars. I knew some of them were, but when I really looked into it, and then that whole. And again, it may be something I'm totally like pulling out of my ass, but it's just a lot of coincidence.
It's really cool.
It's a lot of coincidence.
I love that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of connections.
Yeah.
That SJM.
I know.
She's got a good career ahead of her.
She's got a good head on her shoulders.
Those were both really good deep dives.
You're welcome.
Deep dives, you guys.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Stars.
Lots of food for thought.
Stars and layers of hell. When are Bryce and Hunt going to hook up?
I wrote down more sexual tension with Bryce and Hunt.
More than thighs rubbing up against each other, please.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I love it. I love the tension and the angst and the buildup and the slow burn. Like, I'm so into it.
Since we're spoiler heavy, I cannot wait to watch Bryce vacuum up Micah's ass. That is like one of my favorite parts of the
That is a
book.
great
I
scene.
love it so much. And everyone is watching and they're like, is she fucking doing that right now? Is she really doing that? I love it.
Yeah. That'll be exciting.
I'm looking forward to also reconnecting with the whole Danica mystery, and
Yeah.
because there's so much more to that we're getting ready to read about, and I've been pleasantly surprised going through these summaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, that. So I'm really looking forward to go through the next part and remember all those other parts that are like, oh my god, yes,
Yeah.
because it's all intertwined.
I'd like to find
Tangled.
Rune's parts.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
You'd have to get in line.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is it for this first part of our discussion of House of Earth and Blood.
We covered a lot.
I know. I mean, a lot happened. I mean, I feel like we left a ton out, but it's a lot. So we do not have our nerdiest thing of the week in this episode because remember, that is in Tuesday's episode, our nerdiest thing from March 12th. So be sure to check that out because we're really funny.
We're real fucking funny. And we talk about a lot of books and great things that are happening in pop culture.
So definitely check that out. Next week, we are continuing our discussion of House of Earth and Blood, part 3, which is chapters 38 through 67. See you then.
Bye, everybody. Like what you heard in this episode? Follow Our Nerdiest Thing on Instagram at instagram.com/Our Nerdiest Thing or Facebook at facebook.com/Our Nerdiest Thing. We love hearing from fellow nerds. Email us at ournerdiestthing@gmail.com.